This is the ocean we know of. The ocean makes up most of our beloved planet. It's home to millions of diverse creatures, from sharks to jellyfish. Most of what we know about this beautiful biome comes from a distinguished French ocean explorer by the name of Captain Jacques Cousteau. Before Cousteau became involved with the ocean, the sea was as mysterious as space. Even to this day, we know more about space than we do about the ocean. Most of our knowledge of the oceans and the equipment used by divers were pioneered by Cousteau. He was an explorer, filmmaker, conservationist, innovator, scientist, photographer, and author who explored the oceans of our world and reported his findings for our understanding and awareness of the unknown world. He was the beginning of the ocean's exploration, encounter, and exchange. Jacques Cousteau was born in Gironde, France in the year of 1910. As a teenager, he went into naval aviation and became a gunnery officer. During his serving time on the Condorcet, a French battleship, Cousteau began carrying out his first ever underwater experiments. His plans of becoming a Navy pilot were destroyed in an almost fatal automobile accident which had broken both of his arms. Had he not been in the accident which later cut his career short, he would not have been so focused and involved with the sea. His love for both the ocean and underwater diving inspired him to pursue his dreams of becoming an undersea explorer. Immediately after the accident, he quickly devoted his life to the ocean and all of its inhabitants. Cousteau explored the ocean in great depth. Since his first interest in the ocean, Jacques Cousteau has been very active in the field of exploring. It was during the early 1940s when he started attracting attention. Cousteau's extensive underwater exploration made him realize that the equipment used would have to support him and his divers for longer amounts of time. Inspired by his explorations, Jacques Cousteau and French engineer Anilkumar created the first prototype of the self-contained underwater breathing apparatus, or scuba. This allowed Cousteau and other divers to stay underwater for longer periods of time. Cousteau used his invention to allow him to do more research underwater.
Well, the aqualung was a device for taking very high pressure air and converting it down to a lower pressure and allowing it to flow when you breathed in, but stop flowing in when you breathed out. So it was it had to be a device that was carefully sensitive to temperature. You might think they're very complicated, and maybe some of them are, but the basic aqualung scuba regulator is very simple in its design. So it was a piece of engineering that he devised probably back in the 1940s. And to some extent, it's not changed all that much today.
Many other tools useful to oceanographers were invented by Cousteau. The diving saucer, an easily controllable mini-submarine for deep ocean exploration, many prototypes of underwater cameras for recording the ocean life and beauties, and his underwater lab, one that allowed him to work on experiments while inside the ocean. Using a former Royal Navy minesweeper found in Malta, Cousteau converted it into a floating lab, most famously known as the Calypso. The captain and his crew explored all of their expeditions on the Calypso, which also inspired most of their documentaries, from The Silent World to World Without Sun. Most of Captain Cousteau's exploration led to many of his encounters. As a filmmaker, author, and ocean explorer, Cousteau encountered with several different species of marine wildlife. Some of those animals included penguins, sharks, and lobsters. Cousteau traveled the world to learn more about these animals and share his findings with the general public. He recorded the encounters and shared it with the rest of the world. His documentary shared all of his encounters and showed the amazing hidden phenomenons of the ocean. Cousteau's first book, The Silent World, shared his journeys with his fellow diver and close friend Frédéric Dumas. In his book, he talked about his discoveries ranging from shipwrecks to new species of animals. The footage that he recorded on his trips were used in the documentary of the same name, which won the Palme d'Or, the highest award at the Cannes Film Festival for Best Film. Since his first book was such a success, he went on to write many more about his research and findings. To fill in the holes of the mysteries of the ocean, Cousteau knew that he had to share his findings with the world. Using his phenomenal skills of photography, he and his crew decided to create documentaries and television shows to exchange his knowledge of the ocean with his viewers. He began producing his first television show, The Undersea World of Jacques Cousteau. His show attracted many viewers as he showed them the hidden beauties of the ocean. He also used his show to alert the world about how important our oceans were.
They feed on fish and squid. Occasionally, they enrich their menu with seals, but they certainly don't deserve the epithet killer more than any other animal.
During the filming of the series, Cousteau saw what was not even imaginable to him. He saw the pollution that was fouling the oceans thousands of miles from land and jeopardizing the very existence of life in the underwater world. We can only speculate on how many were moved by the images shared by Cousteau. He knew that the only way to save the ocean was to share what he had witnessed with the world, so he emphasized the importance of the safety of the ocean in his TV series. Cousteau came to lament humanity's willingness to pollute or otherwise destroy the natural environment. The sea is the global sewer, the ultimate receptacle, eventually glutted with all the pollution generated on Earth. Each time our population doubles, by some estimates, pollution multiplies 6 times, all of it into the fluids of life, all of it ending up in the sea. Out of sight, out of mind.
Well, he was passionate about protecting the quality of the ocean and the life in it. And so what he did for making the rest of the world aware that the ocean was potentially in peril because of overpollution and overfishing, destruction of coral reefs, dredging and filling marshlands, and all these things that we know now are necessary to sustain in the environment. They weren't known that well back half a century ago when he began his work and became aware of it himself. So I think his greatest legacy is conveyance of appreciation, respect, and interest in the sea. Because once you become interested in it and you know something about it, you're much more likely to want to protect it.
Cousteau was very protective of the world he had come to know. He got so many people to come to his support that his show became one of the most successful programs on television. The success of his first show got him invited to producing many more episodes. He agreed to produce these episodes so that he could help the world see the same beauty that he saw within the ocean. By the end of his lifetime, his work had inspired the minds of many people around the world to pursue the study of the ocean. Jacques Cousteau was a man who made history when he explored the unknown regions of the ocean. He explored the ocean in great depth, encountered many marine wildlife and shipwrecks, and exchanged his knowledge of the ocean with the public with his revolutionary documentaries. His exploration, encounter, and exchange changed our perspective of the ocean. Jacques Cousteau will be remembered for making sure that the ocean's beauties would not go unseen. He was the voice of the silent world.